again. I didn't have my mic turned on. We're back. We're live in the mob. Sorry about that moment of dead air silence there. As I was saying, this week, um, we it is just me by myself. Joey's off picking up stainless, and Craig is actually having some air conditioning issues at home, so you're gonna have to deal with seeing me. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm gonna kind of rely on you guys for asking questions tonight, and we'll kind of go from there. So tonight I kind of wanted to talk about the RPM Act, and Craig had wanted to talk about nationals. So I'm going to do my best to kind of try and talk about both. At this moment, we're going to kind of start talking a little bit about the RPM Act and what exactly it is, what it entails, and what we're trying to do with the RPM Act, and why it's so important for us to get on board. Go and sign. Go to the links and fill it out as many times as we can, so that way we can get our voice heard. So that way they know that we're not going to stand for the EPA, stepping on our toes and taking our passion, our hot rods. We don't want that. So, let's just real quick. I'm gonna do a little bit of reading of what it is. It's the recognizing the Protection of Motorsports Act. What does that entail? Well, that entails street vehicles, cars, trucks, and motorcycles. It says they can't be converted into race cars according to the EPA. Now, where does that set with our personal vehicles, being the ones, our 55s that we drive on the street? That really hasn't been lined out yet. It's, the EPA has announced that they're enforcing against high performance parts, including superchargers, tuners, exhaust systems. That stuff's a priority. Why? Because it changes the emissions on them. Even if you're one of the hundreds of thousands that have already contacted Congress in the past, your support is still needed. So you need to keep filling out the forms and sending them. The more we send them, the more they hear us. We need to tell the Washington bureaucrats that our, vehicles, our hot rods, are off limits. So I'm going to kind of give a little bit of reading of a synopsis of what exactly is going on here. The RPM Act of 2021 is a common sense bipartisan legislation. Getting tongue-tied here tonight, guys. Bipartisan legislation to protect Americans' right to convert street vehicles to race cars and the motorsports parts industry to ability to sell products that enable racers to compete. The bill clarifies that it is legal to make emissions-related changes to a street vehicle for the purpose of converting it into a race car used exclusively in competition. It also confirms that it is legal to produce, market, and install racing equipment. Now, what classifies as racing equipment? What is the EPA going after? At the moment, a lot of the stuff that they're going after is the tuning stuff. They're going after the exhaust stuff, that changes the emissions. They're going after superchargers, aftermarket parts for superchargers, and it's not just the superchargers themselves. They're going after, the parts and the pieces, that modify them, make them so they make more boost or make more power. So the RPM Act reverses what the EPA interprets that the Clean Air Act does not allow a motor vehicle designed for street use including car, truck, and motorcycle, to be converted into a dedicated race car. This American tradition, it's been to where we can modify our vehicles for the past, 45, 55, people have been modifying cars since they first have been around. I mean, they've been doing something to make them go faster. I am not for sure well versed, how long the first time salt flats, let's just real quick Google. I'm doing this real quick. Bonneville. Like Speed Freaks began using the Bonneville back in 1912. So well over 100 years. And I just Googled that real quick. Well over 100 years. That's almost 110 years that people have been going to Bonneville just to see how fast they can make their vehicles go. So, it's taking an American tradition that's been around since then, to, they're trying to take what we have been doing and change it so that way we can't do that kind of stuff. The EPA took the position that converted vehicles must remain emissions compliant, even though they're no longer driven on, public streets or highways. Well, what does that mean for us guys that, we're still driving our stuff on the street? That means that we still need to voice our thoughts and our opinions on it. We still need to tell them, hey, no, our vehicles are off limits, period. There's been a few different places that they have gone into, and they've actually, like JEGS, I know they were into JEGS, and they fined JEGS a lot of money on it. I'm looking for JEGS EPA fine. The EPA says that they hit JEGS for $1.7 million. So hang on, I think we have, give me a second here as soon as I find it. We have Craig coming in here. As soon as it's, all right, Craig's coming in. He's on my deal over here. So I'm not completely flying solo, guys. But yeah, the EPA came in and they fined JEGS $1.7 million. Like, this is ridiculous. And I'm going to read a little bit of the article here about it because I kind of read into it a little bit earlier today. California Air Resource Board says penalty is the largest in its agency history involving aftermarket parts. And what does this entail? Well, when we look at what they're going after, they're not just going after those of us that are weekend hot rodders. When that goes, and when they go after the parts, side of everything and all that stuff, they're actually going and after NASCAR and NHRA and all that other stuff. They're going after all that stuff, and taking it from us. I mean, that's they're using their power, to say, hey, we want to we want to outlaw this stuff and make it our way or no way, and I mean, when they do that kind of stuff, that's just, in my mind, that's just a hogwash. That's baloney. So, anyways, let me read a little bit here. JAGS Automotive, they paid 1.7 million for breaking anti-pollution laws, and for marketing and selling illegal aftermarket performance parts in California. Which, okay, yeah, that's California. But after the complaint, from the public and the investigation by CARB. They found that from 2011 to 2014, JAGS advertised and sold in California modified aftermarket performance such as engine programmers, air intake systems, and many modified products. Reduce the fuel economy, increase emissions, is what the agency said. And what this is showing is the penalty in this case came to like $250 per unit for approximately 6,802 parts, according to the information on the website. So what that's saying is that they went in, they rated JAGS, and they got the customer list. And they looked at the customer list, and now they know how many parts JAGS has sold in that particular point in time that was just California people. And this is just talking about California at the moment. This isn't even just talking about, this isn't just talking about, or it's not talking about the whole country. So keep in mind that when the EPA jumps in there and says, "Hey, we want to know what all you sold," that means they're building a list so they can look to come and say, "Craig, you bought a Wyand 177 supercharger and you have it on your 55. We're going to come and, either A, give you a tax, or B, say we're going to take your car because it's not, emissions compliant." But the thing of it is, a 55 Chevy is not a, emissions compliant vehicle. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks. So, well, I think they're just they're paying the fine, and they're still, still selling parts. Um, yeah. Is he coming then? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's and I'm kind of doing this show tonight kind of as a little bit of precursor, because I'm trying to get somebody from SEMA to be a guest on the show tonight, or not tonight, on a future episode here in August. So I'm kind of doing a precursor to bring everybody up to a little bit up to speed on on what's going on. Let's see. We can't hear Craig. Just a second here. Craig, can you say something?
Roger, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I've got audio. I got you
I
on
just
my end.
I just unplugged my speakers. I forgot to undo
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Thanks, David.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Now.
David Bacon.
Yeah. Now we've got audio on Craig. Sorry, guys.
There we go.
Um, yeah.
That's my
So,
that's my bad. As hard as you have tried to do this, and it's been so awesome, then I screwed up. That's okay.
well, that's all right. You didn't get to see the awesome intro this week.
I'm gonna go back and watch it because I'm sure it was good. But
It was hot. It was hot. Let me tell you.
I'll tell you what hot is when you got your house set at 72 degrees with AC, and you come home and it's 76 degrees and humid in your house. That's when it's hot.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet.
But
I bet.
I called my
That's.
I called my AC guy because I know him personally. I'm like, "Hey, Jerome, my air conditioning is not kicking in," and I've done the usual steps: turning it off, turning it on, resetting stuff. and he's such a nice guy. He goes, "Give me a minute." Boom. He was at my house in 10 minutes because he was right down the block. So,
Yeah.
nice guy, good guy. But he came in, wiggled a couple wires, and tracked it down. Basically, my thermostat is gone. So, he hot wired it right now. He's going to get a thermostat. He's going to come back and put it in. So I'm like, all right,
Oh,
cool, thanks.
nice, nice. That's
It's
pretty
only going
good.
to cost probably 3 beers, in a half hour of my time.
Oh, oh well, that's not bad. I mean, yeah. So hot wired. I mean, it's not gonna burn the
No,
house down or anything.
no, and it's blowing on me right now, so it feels pretty good because I was outside all day. So that's all right. It's a good day,
Yeah.
but
Oh, good.
very cool.
Good.
So, but yeah, no, I tried to read up a little bit on the EPA thing, but there's so much to read from so many different
Oh,
angles. I haven't gotten caught up on it.
yeah. There is so much to read and so much to understand. Um, and we've got. That's part of why I want to bring in somebody from SEMA, so that way we can, say, hey, okay, now where is this going to be, affecting our street rods? What
Right.
what's it going to do? Um, what's it going to do for the rest of us? And there's also the SEMA Action Network. They have links for stuff to sign. Uh, you know,
Right.
for the RPM Act, and um, I'm trying to read. There was a couple articles that I had
Just
read,
sound it out. You can do it. Just sound it out, one letter at a time. You're trying to read. Sound it out.
oh yes, yes. Well,
Puh, puh,
so
pee.
right now they're still working on getting things. The RPM Act. There's a lot of right now. There's one California person that is on board. There's North Carolina that's on the board. There's some Ohio, South Carolina, California. All these people are on board. There's Texas, there's Oklahoma, Florida, California, Kentucky. There's so many that are on board for it. Now, there is something, and I don't know if you have seen anything about it, but have you heard about the Carolina squat?
It's about the squatted trucks, which I think are ugly personally, but it's just another part of car culture. But they're trying to ban them or do something. Am I right?
Right, right. They're trying to ban that. Now, here's the thing about you know, if that if that were to happen and go through, where do they draw the
Yep.
line on that as far as gassers? I mean, do they have, do they have the ability to then say, well, there's guys that got old hot rods that, you know, are like
Right.
that, because basically that's what they got, is they got the gasser look, so, you know, what, what says that they aren't going to go after gassers like that? So,
So my
and,
question is, why do they care about the squatted trucks? Is it a safety issue
and
or is it just
well, and see, I'm wondering if that isn't the issue there. If it isn't, to where they're squatted, to where like you're sitting down, you're kind of having to look up and over the hood, and you can't see out in
right?
front of you as well. I mean, is that what they're looking at as a safety issue, or, you know, um, and I'm reading the car and driver article. I read it earlier, and I'm going to kind of quote here a little bit. The author says, I'm sorry that I mentioned that my friend Keith, who used to own an off-road shop called the Genre of Trucks, Squatters and Poopers. I'm sorry that I said their exhaust always sounds like someone threw a string of M80s into half-full metal porta potty.
Right.
um, you know, but he goes on to say, it's how the people. Yes, it looks. I don't like how it looks. It's silly to me, but that's how they are. because it's not my taste doesn't mean it isn't your
Right.
taste, and you can't
Well,
have, you know.
that's just like it goes. The whole argument is insulting. You could be as personal as some people like chubby girls, some guys like really skinny girls, some guys like 55 hardtops, some guys like the sedan, some guys don't like, you know, there's certain wheel combos or whatever. It's somebody else's car. So I don't understand the squatted truck because to me, I can do that with just a lot of plywood in the back of mine. You know, I don't need to spend a lot of money on it. But
Right.
at what point, okay, is it a safety driving hazard? And that I certainly understand if you can't see over the hood, right? Um,
Right.
you get to a truck show and you want to drop the rear you want to drop the rear end because it looks cool for you. Great, do it. Okay. Now I'll give you an example. There was a guy last year. He was at a couple of our local car shows. He bought his truck from SEMA, and it's one that was done by like Extensive or one of those big shops for trucks.
Right.
And he paid like $120,000 for this truck. They had well over 200 grand into the truck. The frame was
Mhm.
powder coated purple, yellow this, purple that. It was. And I'm gonna be honest. It's a great way to spend money. It's an engineering feat. Everything was cool, but it's not my
Mhm.
taste, and it doesn't belong at a car show with vintage cars, right?
Right.
And I didn't care for it. I liked the 1972 Ford F-250 that was half rusted out that the kid got out of his grandpa's barn and got running. I looked at
Mhm.
that more than the big truck, right?
Right.
So, but everybody's got their specialty, what they want to look at. Now, the squatted truck thing, the best thing that has come from it is that video I posted on my personal page a few weeks ago when a guy got out of a squatted truck because it was rolling and he ran himself over. That was
Uh,
awesome, you
yeah.
know. But I don't get it. But at the same point, that's freedom of speech, freedom of whatever you want to call it, because you get out and do what you want. So if they're coming after squatted trucks, then they're going to come after gassers for the same reason, right?
Right. Now,
That
now what Carolina is was doing is to meet the criteria, your vehicle has to be both jacked up in the front and lowered in the back by a total of at least 5 inches. So you could leave it stock at the rear and jack the front up by 10 inches, or you
right,
could lower the back by 1 inch and raise the front by 5. You could lift both ends a foot, and plenty of people do that. And I'm still quoting here. And
yep,
you could do lots of different things at this point, so long as you leave one end or the other under the mandated threshold. You know, which that raises questions. You know, how are officers of the law going to measure this? You know, and how are they going to police it? You know,
right,
will they have to become an expert on, you know, suspension geometry, and you know, if a squatted SUV, you know, 98% seems to be, you know, uh, GM Tahoes or Chevy trucks or whatever, you know.
yep,
But I'm assuming, you know, okay, so if they do come after, you know, the gassers or whatnot, how are they gonna know what is and isn't, you know, stock, you know?
right.
So there's so many ways that, you know, so many cans of worm that they can open up. So
Well, you start looking at that, and like I said, it all comes down to personal preference. But okay, lowriders. Being 6'5", I'm not a fan of lowriders. I think they look cool, but I wouldn't own one, right? The 14-inch and 13-inch wheels and all that. But what about the little Toyota Camrys or Corollas or whatever the heck they are, where they squat down and the camber is so bad on them that they can't drive a straight line, and you see it all the time where the wheels are slant,
right,
right? Then they're going to got to go after people like that, you know. And so at some point, between gas prices and all the control they want to do, it's going to take hot rodding away, or they basically want everybody to get the Tesla crate motor in there to be right, and everybody to run responsible green tires, and whatever. And it's going to get out of hand.
right. Yeah,
And
it's gonna get out of hand, you know, and unfortunately that's what happens is, you know, they don't know where they're gonna draw the line and how they're gonna make it work. And I guess, you know, what I'm saying here tonight is I'm trying to at least bring a little bit more light about what's going on, and so that way we kind of are a little bit more little bit more to where we can speak on it a little bit better when we do have the ASEMA representative, so that way we, everybody kind of is anticipating what's coming up and what we're going to talk about. And the RPM Act, there's so many facets that we've got to, look at, and hopefully we can get them, get
And just
to
so
where
just so I think, I'm sure some people are more well versed in this than I am, but just so we're understanding, when we talk about the RPM Act, that's the act that we want Congress to pass to save us.
Right.
Right. That's not the act that they're, because I think they're, and I was a little confused for a while too until I started reading on this, but the RPM Act isn't coming after us. The RPM Act is to protect us, and we need to get behind that.
Right. The
Right.
EPA is who is after us.
Right. Let's face it. I mean, everybody wants to be a little bit better for the environment. There isn't one of us that doesn't. We try to save gas or turn the heat down in the house, whatever. I burn corn for my house. That's how I heat my house, by burning corn, because it's really good for the environment. It's cheap heat. But at the same time, I've got 4 vehicles. I've got a hot rod. I used to have snowmobiles. I got snow blowers. They're all gas powered, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And, but the unfortunate thing is we are a minority. Now, NASCAR is huge, right? NASCAR's got a lot of pull, especially through the South with numbers. But we're just not even talking about hot rodders. I mean, because this will affect monster trucks, any type of road racing, ATVs, snowmobiles, absolutely anything out there with a gas motor.
Performance enhancement is where it's going after, so that affects, like you says, monster truck, snowmobile, motocross, NHRA, NASCAR, and the weekend warriors that go to the local roundy round tracks every week. That's going to affect them just as much as it's going to affect us,
right.
And the EPA doesn't realize, how much of an effect that it has, and the EPA says it's not going to seize any race cars. It just hit, just that it has to address a plethora of performance parts companies selling parts, built for race cars but used on street cars, which emit more pollutants. Well, it's unfortunate, and the thing of it is, if we don't speak our voices now, they're gonna just keep pushing, and they're just gonna keep coming.
Right.
And that's where we got to stand up and we got to say, okay, that's enough. And it all comes down to 2 different interpretations, and I'm quoting here from a different page. It comes down to different interpretations of the Clean Air Act legislation that was signed into law by President Richard Nixon in the 70s. It's how people interpret it, and how they see that it gives them authority to what they can and can't do.
Right.
So, and it all started back in 2015 when there was, I forget what state it was, there was some legislation that was in a bill that was going to get pushed through at the end of the Obama administration, late 2015. And this was something stuck in, I forget how many 1,000-page. Somebody happened to be going through it and say, oh, what is this? Oh, well, this is something that's, talking about, taking more, making it illegal to, modify cars. So, and it took somebody seeing that, at that point in time to say, no, wait a minute, we need to protect the vehicles. So, that's where they're at, and
right.
we're trying to get the EPA, to give a clarified position, and they still, at this moment, they really haven't given us a clear position of what they are going to be doing or what they will do.
So when the EPA announced, they're going to enforce against high performance parts, and of course I'm reading it says including superchargers, tuners, and exhaust systems. Obviously, those are the top three. When we think of nitrous, we think of turbos and pro chargers, stuff like that. But what else is a high performance part? Better flowing heads, fuel
Mm-hmm.
injection, different cams.
It,
Are they going after all that? Or because
well,
at this point, from what I read, is they're just going to go back and go, hey, you know what? We don't want you using superchargers and turbos and special exhaust systems. Well, exhaust systems, yes, is needed, but well, then everybody's going to go back to small blocks or LSs and just bore the hell out of them, these big heads, and go to carburetors, and that's worse. You know, I don't know. I mean, you look at the emissions on a, let's go with 1955 265 V8. Okay,
mm-hmm.
limited horsepower, I get that. Carburetor probably was pretty dirty. What's the best mileage on that? It was probably what, 14, 16 maybe?
Oh, yeah. I think, in all honesty, my 55 Chevy, the six-cylinder that was in it, when I originally got it, I had gotten somewhere around, 20 or 25 miles a gallon out of the thing at one point in
That's
time.
decent. What
You know,
transmission did you have in that?
I had the three-cylinder. Or not
Okay, three
three-cylinder,
speed.
three-speed.
Yeah,
55 Chevy was
yeah.
a
So okay,
three-cylinder.
but think about the 2-speed Power Glide. Nobody got mileage with that, right?
No.
So so
No.
here I am. I've got just a 355 with a supercharger and fuel injection, and when I'm going down the highway nice at 70, I'm pulling about 20 miles a gallon with everything I've done to it. So
Yeah,
to
and
go
you're
back to
making
a
about
26,
the mileage that my six-cylinder made.
right? And so at what point I'm not turning the clock backwards, and I guarantee with the fuel injection, I'm probably actually burning a lot cleaner for the atmosphere, so to
Yeah,
speak.
this is true. This is true because
Maybe, maybe not.
the better timing, the better better fuel. Things are better that way. Um,
My motor actually identifies as an electric transducer, so it's going to be fine. It identifies as an electric motor.
yes, this is true.
It's trans cylinder, so
Uh,
I have to support it.
Charge a tax stamp on the registration for modify. And Joe Miller raises a good question. I wonder if they'll try to make it like NFA Act of 1934 and charge
Yep.
a tax stamp and registration for modified vehicles or parts. And there
Probably.
again, the where that goes back to, we got to remember that EPA, they are a government entity, but they are not funded by um, they are not funded by the government. They're funded by their fines. Um, when the paint stuff came down for the auto body, for painters and everything, the 6H law, when we filled out all that information and we sent all that paperwork in, what we actually did in essence is made an open invite that says, "Come whenever you feel."
Yep.
EPA came into our shop, and the one day that they came, it wasn't like, "Hey, we're gonna come during normal hours." No, they come and they, in their mind, they were probably being polite, or so they thought. They came right at noon, and the guy came in and they asked, "Hi,
My
Misty."
wife's my wife's talking. Say hi to
Tell,
people. And she walked away. No makeup, no
um,
hair, no seeing me.
oh, um, so they came in and they asked. They says, "Well, can we see the paperwork that you filled out and sent in when the 6H law all came into effect?" And we've got it all in a folder. Got it out and handed it to them. And the guy was talking. They spent the better part of an hour, so we didn't get to go have lunch. And all they did that day was come in and make sure that we had our ducks in a row. But there's actually, he had told us a story about one guy that they went into his shop, and some of the old body men can remember Binks Model 7 paint gun. One of the just about that was the SATA of the time of the day, and just about every painter that was worth a spit, he had a Binks Model 7. Well, this guy, he still has one Binks Model 7 after the 6H law goes into effect. He has it in a glass case up on the wall, never to come down, never to be used again. And he has it up there on the wall, and the EPA, this is from an EPA guy, he told us they fined him like 20, what was it, like 25 or $2,600 for having that paint gun in the shop. It wasn't being used. It was in a sealed case up on the wall.
What's maybe I just blanked out here, but what's so bad about that gun?
Because it's not compliant to the new 6H law. The new 6H law
Gotcha.
says that your guns have to be like 98% fluid transfer efficiency, and your booth has to be 98% filter efficiency. It's all just about keeping the stuff out of the atmosphere that shouldn't be in the atmosphere. Which that's understandable. That is, it's okay. It's what they need to do. But the thing that they're finding the guy for having this old paint gun on the wall.
Yeah. Daniel, Joe asks, what is 6H? Did we answer that?
6H, that is in the auto body. That was the law for being emissions compliant for auto body. And I'm trying to look up real quick and see if I can't give a better
Well, you look that up, and I'll tell you my EPA story. It's much
all
different.
right. Okay, here, let me
Go ahead.
because I've got it pulled up, and I'm gonna read it here as soon as it opens up here. So officially, the 6H rule is subpart 6H's of the EPA law, titled National Emission Standards on Hazardous Air Pollutants, Paint Stripping, and Miscellaneous Coating Operations at Area Sources. Basically, what it means is that the EPA is trying to lower the instances of hazardous air pollutants such as lead and methylene chloride by creating stricter rules for the application of these substances. So, for putting paint on and everything, that's what they're controlling, trying to control, of as far as how you put paint on, how you put products on. So with that brought on the advent of a lot of companies that came up with roll-on primers, and those are actually pretty cool. I kind of showed you guys about those a little bit. I hope that kind of gives a little bit of an explanation.
They're very high build and settle pretty good, don't they?
Yes.
Right.
And Joe, the other thing to remember, Joe Miller, the other thing to remember is that there's certain things I cannot do in my business, but you can go home and use that paint gun that I cannot use. You can use it out in your driveway and paint your 55, 6, 7 Chevy all day long, and they aren't going to come after you. It's me who is putting this stuff on regularly,
right.
Every day, so, and I guess they look at the guy at home is, he's not putting the do I want to say tonnage?
I'll be right back. I got to grab the charger for my phone, Dan.
Okay. Okay, so now I'm alone again, guys. No Craig. So.
Hey, I didn't even leave that much. Come on now.
Oh, you didn't leave that much. Oh.
Well, Craig. I just had to unplug my wife. My wife had her vibrator charging, so I just had to grab it quick.
We don't want to know. We don't want to know.
Hey, sometimes I'm tired, Dan. Sometimes I'm tired. Okay.
Okay. Hey. Tired.
So you're talking about what you can do, what you can't do as a shop, what the regular guy at home can do, right? So similar story. So many years ago, and I don't know exactly, let's say call it 12 to 15 years ago, maybe 10. I think closer to 12 to 15. Anyways, the EPA came out with the lead paint rules for home renovations. Okay.
Right.
So anybody that doesn't know, lead paint used to be used in all house paints older than 1978. The farther back in time you go, the more lead chance of lead you had in your house.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and give you a little, I don't truly believe in the lead paint laws itself for some of the similar reasons. I think we don't believe in the car stuff is the fact that lead paint, for those that don't know, only affects people with growing cells, growing bodies, which are kids. Okay. You can't breathe it in. You can't get it through your skin. You have to eat it. And so back in the day, they said kids had learning development, disabled developments or whatever from eating lead paint. Okay. Well, the reason lead kids ate lead paint chips, first of all, and I've tasted this because when you go to lead class, they let you test it because it doesn't hurt adults. It has a sweet flavor to it. So back in the day, if you didn't feed your kids, they would chew on the woodwork in your house and get the sweet tasting lead paint. So, moral of the story is, there is some truth to it, but for the most part, if you just feed your chubby little kids, they're not going to chew on the wood around the windows, right? So, but what the EPA did is they basically came in and said, hey, when you do any kind of replacement, and they gave a square footage, anything over 6 square foot area. So if you imagine you're doing a 3 foot by 4 foot window, that's 12 square feet. You've got to basically tape off the whole room, make a medical room, use HEPA vacuums. You got to wear a hazmat Tyvek suit and all of this. And so you've now got to pass that charge on to the customer because it takes time and effort. And when you wrap everything up, it has to be double bagged. It has to go in the proper dumpster to the proper people for lead paint. And this was really big. This drove me out of the remodeling aspect because let's face it, most older homes older than 1978, you could test it for lead. And if there was lead present in the house, you had to use lead safe practices. It's a good way for contractors to stay cleaner about the job site and protect people. But unless there's chubby little kids in there eating the paint flakes, you ain't got a problem. So what this did is it caused a lot of guys like me to venture out and to build other stuff that didn't involve permitting and didn't involve the EPA and stuff like that. And it's really ridiculous. But if they caught you doing something, if somebody say, and the biggest problem they had was competitors. So let's say I'm replacing windows on an old house that's 100 years old, it's going to have lead paint in there. So I've got to be in 90-degree weather with a hazmat suit on, a face mask. I mean, this is pre-COVID, by the way. So we weren't used to masks. But when your competitor drove by and he saw you doing something that maybe
Mm-hmm.
wasn't code compliant for the the EPA Lead Act, they would take pictures and send it in. So you had a lot of snitches between contractors because that's what was happening, and it's a $35,000 fine. Well, a lot of
Oof.
guys have just claimed bankruptcy and quit. They said, "Fuck it, you're a part of it. The heck with it. I quit, claim bankruptcy, don't have to pay the fine, move on." And so that's one way that the EPA came in and totally wrecked an industry. Now, it helps you get cleaner. It helps you do all that, be a better contractor in the end. But the cost of replacing, say, $1,200 for a window now is $1,600 to $1,800 because of everything that we have to do to that. Wearing the suit, the $700 HEPA vacuum to clean up the lead dust, all this stuff. Second of all, on a funny note, I have a bad neighbor. I could get into that because we've got 15 years of bad stories. But she
Mm-hmm.
called the EPA on me about 11 years ago. I had the EPA show up at my front door, and they gave me their business cards, which I still have. It was quite funny because she reported a complaint that it smells like I'm burning dead bodies in my fire pit. So if you don't think that they take things seriously, two guys in black
Did
suits
he
showed
say
up.
dead bodies?
Right. Showed up and she said they have a complaint because I burned stuff that I shouldn't be burning in my fire pit, which honestly the worst thing I ever burned was a few dead squirrels or something. And from shooting them illegally with my BB gun, but I didn't try, it just happened. So, anyways, um, they come out, if you don't think it's serious, they come out, they give me the business cards. They're kind of laughing because they realize it's probably not true that I'm burning dead human bodies, but they actually went in with a stainless steel cup, pulled out some ashes and put like a Tupperware lid over it to seal it. And they said, if anything negative comes back, we'll be in touch. Well, it's been 15 years. I still have never heard back because I'm sure there was cedar, oak, pine, a little bit of everything being burnt in there. So they probably had a good laugh. But so those are my two run-ins with the EPA. So if you don't think they're taking the RPM Act and this kind of stuff serious, they are. So like you said when I came on, okay, they find JEGs or Speedway, whoever JEGs. Now I bought my supercharger, and I don't remember exactly. Probably Summit. I don't know where I got it. But if I'm on a customer list, are they going to come to the door one day and say, hey, we realize you got a 55 Chevy with a supercharger, you have to park it or pay this tax on it? Who at the license bureau, when I go to license it every year for my collector plates, are they going to come out and say, do they want to start doing inspections of the driveline? Well, because you could also argue.
That's what I want to ask when we do have a SEMA representative. That's what I want to ask. If they can come and say, hey, you've got this part, and you have this vehicle registered. Did this part end up on this car? And if so, we're gonna charge you a tax on it.
What about the performance transmission that now gets better mileage? Because it's got a better overdrive. Do they give you a bonus for that? Are they showing up with their COVID masks? Because I imagine that they're the type of people that want to wear masks on my personal property.
You never know. You never know.
So, but I can tell you one thing: if they show up at your door to look at your hot rod, your face should be the last thing they see before they wake up in the hospital.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Be careful. We don't want to get in trouble.
I'm just there for cardiac arrest. That's what I'm giving them. I'm not helping them, but.
Oh, you mean they're gonna have cardiac arrest because they're looking at your scary face and they got scared into a heart attack.
Right. So, but you're absolutely right. And as I've talked to very few people, have been too busy. But at what point, this is something we'll probably ask our guest we're having on the 26th. What he thinks, because he runs a hot rod shop too. And if you're building
guest on the 26th. Oh yes, you were talking about. We've got a guest coming on the 26th.
Our guest on the 26th. Yep, our guest on the 26th is verbally confirmed. It's not written in contract yet, but it'll be Chris Sondels of the American Tri-5 Association, who owns Woody's Hot Rods, and also he's the guy that puts on the Tri-5 Nationals. And so he's going to come on. And so I would have to ask him, when you're building a car from scratch like they do at Woody's, because that's what they do now, is basically build Tri-5s from new parts. How do you build one of those without putting performance in it?
Right.
Because you buy a crate motor that's considered a stock crate LS motor with 750 horsepower because it was crate and it hasn't been altered. Who draws the line? To me, what they're doing is the line is drawn with crayon, and it's just getting really smudgy.
Yeah. Terry has a very interesting idea, but I think I'll save that just for the comments on Facebook. We don't need to bring that up to where it'll go on YouTube.
Terry, we're parking it at your house.
Yeah, we'll park it at Terry's house.
So that's a good thing. But
yeah, so you kind of brought up Chris and talk about the Tri-5 Nats. Let's see. This year they're actually doing a Western swing, or what they call Western Invasion, Bakersfield, California, October 15th through the 17th, 2021. And then the 6th annual in Bowling Green, Kentucky, August 12th through the 14th.
Yep.
So, since you have been to the Tri-5 Nationals, what can you tell those who haven't been to the Tri-5 Nationals to expect?
Cheap food. Realistically, it's the first thing I'm going to talk about, because a lot of people told me to wait till you get to Nationals. Things are going to be expensive. It's the cheapest hot dogs and hamburgers I've had. Come to Minnesota if you want expensive food. That's all I'm saying. So, you go to the Twins game and you buy a corn dog, a beer, and a pretzel, and you're out $63. So it's ridiculous. But you're going to a Twins game, a losing team game. They got to make money somewhere, right? I stopped watching the Twins in '97 when they went on strike for better health care. You guys are millionaires. Shut up. Okay? Pay for your own goddamn health care. So anyways, but no, what you can expect in Nationals, first of all, my memories were great because I got to meet guys off the online that I'd never met before, but we had talked to all the time on here. So that was nice. The Tri Five Nationals. First of all, be prepared. Bring a fan. Bring some ice packs because it's hot in Kentucky. I'm saying that,
So
and I know
what kind of fan? What kind of fan are we talking? Like somebody who likes us, or are we talking like a box fan,
no.
or are we
I'll tell
talking
you what,
like those paper Chinese fans that they're like the flip out switchblade comb. They flip
right.
out and you fan yourself.
No, so what I just bought, because first of all, I learned this from Eric Feckler. Let's give him a round of applause. He's not on here, but let's give him a round of applause. So Eric Feckler had something awesome because as we were at Tri Five Nats 2 years ago, it was 98 degrees, it was humid, it was really unbearable, and my wife came with. And if your wife sweats, it's a bad day. She's not enjoying it. And he had a Milwaukee cordless fan. So he turned it on. He let her borrow it for a couple hours, got her by. So due to the fact that she's coming with this time, I went because I have a lot of Makita tools and a ton of 40 batteries for work. I bought the Makita cordless 18-volt fan, and that she can sit and blow on her all day long. I'll bring 6 batteries and charge them up at night. She's going to do fine. That's one thing I'd recommend doing. It's hot, but you got 3,000 cars. I talked to the lady the other day because I haven't got my registration yet. Or talked to a gentleman, sorry. I haven't got my registration yet. So I'm a little concerned because I sent for it back in February.
Right.
And he said that he's still got like 3,000 to go through to get out. He says, I assure you it's here. Don't worry about it. If you don't get it in the mail, we'll have it at the gate for you. I'm like, okay, that's a little sketchy, but understandable. I thought there was over 3,000. He told me on the phone there was like 29 or 2,800 cars there last time, which, to be honest, we have 2,900 Tri-5s alone at the Back to the 50 show. So it's not as big, but it's
Right.
nice because, what's really fun is you can go around and actually visually pick out cars that you've seen on the internet pages, all Tri-5 Classics, Legendary, Tri-5 Outlaws, all these pages that we've watched. And you can walk around and go, oh my God, I know that car. Like, well, someone who's chatted today who's not going to be there, I see it was Lewis Jackson. He's got a big 55 hardtop orange thing, and he's got the big blower on it. And I remember I stopped and I go, holy, that's Lewis Jackson's car. And then right next to it was Jed Gage, who was from Texas, who wasn't in the mob at the time, but I knew him from Instagram because I just started the mob. And I was chatting with him. He said, hey, can you bring me a mob hat? Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, I know that guy's car. And you walk around and you go, oh my God, I know that one. I know that one. And then I went and sat and that was the cool part, is going, oh my God, I can put names to faces and meet people. The mob people were the best part of it. But the mob part of it was the best part of it. But, even, sitting up in the race stands. Now, I don't go to a lot of drag races. They're all over, but I don't have time to go here. But I get up in the stands and I'm like, oh, there's Dustin Hokanson. That's cool. Oh, look at, there's the shit box or whatever, the trash can. That's what we call it, the trash can from, the Suttons.
Well,
and you're watching
I think everybody knows the trash can. I mean,
right. Sorry, I didn't mean to call it shit. I didn't mean to call it shit box. I'm sorry.
That car, I mean, everybody knows that because that's the car, like, what was it, like 2017 or 2018? It, like, dumped the back glass all over.
Yep.
All over.
Yep.
The starting
and I think his red and white 56 threw the drive shaft out the back last 2 years ago or something. I can't remember.
Right.
But, driving through and meeting the guys is the best part. Hanging out and is the best part. I'm looking forward to that aspect again.
Sorry
just
about that.
Due to the fact, and like even your Fremont days, if I had the time, it would have been awesome to hop in the truck Friday night and just drive down, because it's really, I say, 5.5, 6 hours, and I'd be there.
Yeah, it's about 6 hours.
But it's just time. But this year, I get anxiety going, God, should I leave? It's my work season. I don't have enough money in the bank this year to go, or how much is it going to cost me in gas to drive down there? Well, and you know what? Honestly, at some point in my life, I'm almost 50 years old. You go, you know what? This is what memories are, because nobody's going to talk to me in 10 years about the summer of 2021 and the jobs that I did, or sitting on my back porch having a beer. They're going to say, hey, remember when you went to nationals and I saw you there, or we did this? Yep, that's what it's about. So this year it's actually a day longer. So, and because I did think it was a little short for what we were there, but that's what it's about. And honestly, I hope to relax a little bit more, because last time it was a little overwhelming even for me, even though I've done a lot of things in my life, been around a lot of people. But as you're sitting there and all of a sudden you got 30, 40 mob guys coming up that you've never met and they all want to talk to you, and you're kind of ignoring your wife, you know, and you're not talking to her because, you know, because you're doing everything else. And then we were supposed to go out to eat because it was like an anniversary night. And all of a sudden I'm doing a live video half drunk at the buffet because I'm mobbing, I'm having a good time. Right. And so you can't plan too much. You really have to go with the flow. And I really just want to sit and talk to people that I talk to like this all the time on video messenger or something, but to share a meal, share a drink, or just sit under the canopy and drink a water next to you all day long and BS and point out people's funny hairlines, or, you know, how people are walking. And that's just the people watching is the best part too, you know? So that's what it is. You know, I can't point out people's hairlines. I'll be wearing a hat, but it is what it is. So, but that's honestly, we all have a passion, and that's why we're here, because I've always had the passion, but it got rekindled, and, you know, when I was able to finally get to my car. And if it wasn't for me doing the car, wasn't for me and Jim starting the mob, honestly, I'd have about 70% of my lifetime back. But no, just kidding. But it's, you know, you'd be going, I wouldn't meet a Daniel Check. I wouldn't have this special barbecue rub, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I've told the story before about how I met Brian Machad on the mob, and yet I knew his car since like 2012 because I seen the videos of him racing on YouTube, right? And to put all these things together and realize that, you know, we've got people in the mob that are in mansions. We have people that are in trailer houses, and we're still the same people. It doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, and that's what it's all about, and that's what I like, because at the end of the day, you know, I'm lucky to have been able to do my car as good as I did, and I realize that. But what's funny is when I went there, I'll bring one with Christopher. What I found out, because when I went there, my trunk didn't fit really well, and so it would rub on one side, and my body guy had to do some work on it, which he did. He came through good, and I remember, God, I don't like the way this fits. I don't like this fits. The best part about it was seeing 3,000 other cars, and out of 3,000, 2,900 of them all had issues of different sorts. Trunk didn't sit right, or this door didn't sit right. This trim piece wasn't right. Yeah, I have my pet peeves. Do I think people should align their bumpers better with the body line? Yep. I think there's a lot of front bumpers that aren't right. Do I think every guy with hardtops should have flippers? I spent half the first day just walking around going, hey, I think I could help you with that flipper. You know, but then you realize it's their car, it's their flipper, let them be. You know?
Yeah.
But I plan to just get there. We rented a house through Airbnb, so it's going to be me and my wife, Mark Levine, his wife, Joey, and whoever he brings with. I think Miss Debbie, not sure yet. And then I think Eric Feckler.
Maybe it'll be a blue light special next time.
You never know. But, you know, I get the hot tub first. You know, I'm going to dirty the water first. There's a hot tub there. But you're right. Christopher File just said it's all in the detail. You're absolutely right. But some of the cars are not even close to being perfect, not even close to being correct, but they're right the way they are because of just how it is. Like the trash can. What do you want to change on the trash can? He's beating the hell out of a car that he put together in 3 weeks or whatever it is. Yeah. And Thomas Sutton knows what he's doing, right? So that's what makes that perfect. You know, and I look at, I've become more and more of a fan of patina cars. I like my car, don't get me wrong. But to be able to drive your car and not worry about scratches and stuff, and see people that have perfected the patina, and to see people that have actually taken the lower part of the car off and put it back on and painted it in patina, you don't even know, that's artistry. So, we're looking forward to it. We're a month away because today's the 12th, so we are 30 days away from sitting there with guys and enjoying some warm weather.
Wow, sounds good. Sounds like an interesting, fun time. Joey's calling you the flipper man. I don't know if he's like referring.
I was trying to help him we were video talking the other day, and I was really trying to help him, and he was frustrated, but honestly, he was doing good. But it's something I know how to do in my head, but I can't tell somebody how to do it over the phone, if that makes sense. You just know how to do it. Right. And I was actually up. He was frustrated, and I couldn't tell him the right things right away. And I was up at 4 a.m. the next morning. My eyes opened up and go, oh my God, I remembered how I did this now. So I had to call him right away in the morning. And the problem with that is it was still like he's 92 degrees in his garage. He's sweating it's time to hang it up. Just give it a break, So,
Yeah.
but he'll get it, and he'll get his car is looking sweet. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to get. I want to get it so we can coordinate something because we didn't last time. We got a couple group pictures and some individual pictures, but I want to get everybody who's mob together for one picture one night, 5 minutes of time. Line up the cars as best we can somewhere, and just take that picture for memories. Because something else that we don't know is in 6 days it will be our 4th anniversary of having the mob group up on Facebook on the
Ooh.
18th.
Happy birthday to the mob.
Yeah, so it's I never thought it would last a year or 2 years, and now here we are, and it's evolved in many different ways. A lot of it's because you lately were doing this, because like I said, this is the last one, was basically free of all technical issues. So
Yeah, and so far this one's been free of technical issues, other
yep,
than
my air conditioner.
co-host. Well,
Right.
your air conditioner and co-hosts.
Yep.
One was going and getting stainless. We won't mention any names. Joey. And somebody had a broken air conditioner, but that's out
Yep.
of his control.
And
You know.
someday, if the borders ever open up and I go on a road trip, I'm going to go up and see Alan Bahari up in Canada, because
Mm.
I think it would be fun to go grab a burger with that guy. And I'd probably swing up to Winnipeg, stop at DD Speed Shop first, talk to Dan Mackelson, and then zip over to a hard left to see Alan. And it'd be a fun trip. But
Yeah.
I would stay on the Minnesota. I'd stay on the United States side because it's about $2 less a gallon.
Well, now do they have gas by the gallon up there, or is it by the liter?
Nope, it's all by the liter. Alan,
Oh,
what's your liter? Alan, what's your liter price right now? That's the
yeah.
question. It's probably
That
like a
that'd be a
dollar
good
nine.
question.
It's probably like $1.99 a liter, and a dollar. There's what, almost 4 liters in a gallon. So you can imagine, what it costs up there.
Oh gosh, I just hope that it's not like like $1 a liter. So that'd be.
Oh, it's more than that. I guarantee that. It's Canada,
Uh,
but you get
so
free
there,
health care.
but I've always heard that Canada is the home of the Canucks. So they're
You got the
cooked.
Canucks.
Yeah.
They talk a lot like northern Minnesota in a way, but that's how
Oh,
they're going to do it. You hoser. Oh yeah, that's how they talk. They're going to go play some hockey. Oh, it's July, but we're still going to go play some hockey. But if we don't play hockey, we're going to talk about hockey, and we're going to look forward to hockey. That's the way it is up there.
a
Eh?
hoser. So
They
what
do have.
exactly is What exactly is a hoser?
uh, Well, a Nimrod, a hoser, a dipshit. They're kind of all the same, but a hoser is the Canadian. If you look back, there was a Bob and Doug McKenzie, which was the comedic act, a movie. That's where it really made famous. Oh yeah, you hoser. It's a Canadian thing. So I don't really know, but that's what it is. So
Yeah. All right. Well, we've managed to surpass an hour again this week, which that's okay. That's fine. Um, that means that we're
oh,
having a good time and we're having good content. So yeah, what do you got?
I okay. So here's something I'm going to be posting up. Um, I've got a Tri Five Mob banner, one of the big heavy duty vinyl ones for the garage, and I'm
Okay.
going to be bringing that to the Nationals, and I'm going to be giving it away. But here's the catch, because I can't afford to give away about hundreds of T-shirts like I did last time, because I don't have mob cash from selling merchandise. I don't do that. So I'm getting some Tri Five Mob T-shirts, and I will be posting this printed up to bring to the Nats for people that want them. If you want one, I'm going to show the receipts to everybody. If it costs me $10, $12, $15, whatever it costs me per shirt, that's what you're paying for. I'm not making profit off these T-shirts. Okay, this is my biggest thing, because I want to share the mob love to everybody. So, but
Mm-hmm.
what we're going to do is to enter the mob banner giveaway for the Nationals. You come to the Nationals, you buy a T-shirt. You're in your name is going to be in the drawing. If you don't want a T-shirt, which is absolutely fine, because they're not pink, so Joey won't get one. But if you don't want a T-shirt, but you want a chance at the banner, $2 buy-in, boom, goes in there. I'm just doing it to recoup the cost of the $65 banner, right? So
Okay.
either way, I'm going to give a banner away. I know Eric's got some. It's EH, by the way, and The
Well, I had to ask.
Eric's, we got some of our can coolers, a couple things, and I'm not going crazy, but I did order the Tri-5 Mob National sticker that I posted the other day. But I'm going to be bringing the vinyl banner, so anybody who goes to Nationals and comes and meets me and talks with me, buys a T-shirt or puts $2 in the jar, gets entered to win the banner, and you get to walk away with it. On the last day, I'll do the drawing right away in the morning, or maybe the night
Sweet.
before. So that's what I'm going to do. So, but I've got a couple different sayings. I know we had a kick-ass saying last time that said, not everybody loves Tri-5s, but not everybody matters, which I still think is an awesome saying. I've got a couple other new ones I'm trying out. So I got to figure which is going to get printed on, because I always got to get my mind out of the gutter. I got to keep it as clean as I can, but
Yeah.
we keep the wheels spinning and the chicks grinning. Hey, that's mob life.
Yeah. All right, you guys heard it. So at the Nationals, there will be swag to be won, and hope to see you guys there. I won't make it. I wish I could, but I'll look forward to all the live videos. Craig, ooh,
My tape
that looks
measure.
interesting. That's interesting.
It
So,
goes to 8 inches. You don't have to use it all.
okay. Well, hey. All right. I think we're gonna sign off there tonight. Craig, any final thoughts? We got about a minute and 30.
Yeah, we're good to go. Looking forward to get Chris Samuels from the Tri-5 Association. We got some other guests coming up in the next month. 30
Yep.
days till I'm sitting with a bunch of friends and enjoying life with you guys. So looking forward to it.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Until next time, remember, next week, Scott Sullivan and the Cheese Whiz 55.
Kick ass.
Yeah. See you guys later.